what I love about this is that on the one hand it's desperately simple, and on the other hand there are all these little cunning things that I would never have thought of in 100 years. And I love when Alan showed me that he was doing this double thread. You think, okay, I'll follow my finger around here and it'll go behind and surely it'll come out here, but no, it comes out there because it's a double thread, and the other one goes that way, and it's quite complicated. It screws my head, quite literally. He's not sure that this is exactly what Gutenberg would have had, but it looks right, and so often that's the secret of this kind of engineering and designing, is if it looks right, feels right, then it is right. It's a most satisfactory object. Apart from anything else, wouldn't it be fun to have one in one's bedroom? You could convert it with a little wash hand basin or something, or maybe even have the mirror here at adjustable height. I'm going slightly mad now because I'm so fond of it. The one thing I, of course, can't wait to see is how it actually prints.
I'm starting to share the sense of excitement Gutenberg must have felt when he was finally ready to start printing. By the late 1440s, he had moved on from Strasbourg, which had recently been terrorized by a marauding band of French mercenaries called the Armagnacs. Perhaps they were the reason that he decided to head home to Mainz. As usual, money was tight, so he borrowed some cash from a relative. This house was used as security for the loan, and he struck up a partnership with a new investor called Johann Fust. It was a deal he would later regret, but it did give him the cash injection he needed to set his press running. He didn't start with the Bible, far too ambitious. He road-tested the new technology on modest print jobs, like this Latin grammar book.
I remember that.
To show the church that his invention presented an opportunity and not a threat, he also printed documents like this papal indulgence.
Now, indulgence is this wonderful Catholic way of raising money, wasn't it?
Quite so.
It sort of reminds me of today, if you journey in an aeroplane or something, or have a very fuel inefficient car, you can offset your carbon, can't you? You can pay money to a company that offsets your carbon. It forgives you your carbon sins.
Yeah.
And this is a bit like the same idea. Yeah. You offset your sins, don't you? It must have been marvellous for them to have Gutenberg's new technology, because before that, of course, each one would be handwritten by a scribe. And it's not just a quick voucher, it's a lot of lines. So it was a very good way of Gutenberg showing off his new technology.
Yes. I think it shows also that the church really was very interested in printing, that they did not consider it a black art, as it is said in German. They were interested because they saw all those advantages it brought to them.
With church support for his magnum opus, there was just one more issue to resolve.
Most high-end books in those days were written not on paper, but on something called vellum. And what was vellum made out of? It was made out of those little fellows, those pretty brown, round-eyed calves. They yielded their skins just as they yielded the rest of themselves for veal chops for the tables of the mighty. Gutenberg, who was determined that his Bible was to be nothing if not the highest possible quality, thought that he would print every Bible on the finest vellum. But either he or his business partners did some serious mathematical modelling, as it would now be called, and they quickly realised that actually only a few could be done in vellum, because a little herd like this, well, you wouldn't be out of the Old Testament. You've got those two there, we'll call them Genesis, we'll call that fellow there Exodus, you've got Deuteronomy over there, Leviticus.
It would take 140 calves to provide enough vellum for just a single copy of the Bible. For a print run of 180, which was what he planned, Gutenberg would have needed a staggering 25,000 of the poor creatures. That's an awful lot of veal chops in anyone's book.
There are, therefore, a few Gutenberg Bibles extant in the world which are printed on vellum, but most are printed on paper.
Without a system for mass-producing paper, Gutenberg's invention would have been dead in the water. But although the Chinese had first invented the stuff 1,200 years earlier, it was still a new commodity in the West. This mill at Basel in Switzerland was set up at almost exactly the same time as Gutenberg was working on his machine, and they still make paper here the old-fashioned way, not from wood pulp, but from cloth rags.
Oh, that's rather satisfying.
First, the rags are mashed to a fine pulp. A water wheel provides the power to drive these hefty hammers. Once it's reached the right consistency, the pulp is transferred to a huge vat, which is where the fun really starts.
This is going to be our paper. It seems extraordinary that these are the bits of cut-up linen that have been pounded away and they've turned into this pulp. Okay, so I better keep stirring, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Oh, extraordinary.
And that what you feel is the heating. The water is a little bit warm.
Because it's organic matter and it's breaking down?
No, because it's a little bit easier to working with warm water, and the warm water goes quicker down from the
the sieve. So this is what now happens, okay?
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's make paper.
We go in like this, turn it, and come up, shake it a little bit. So the water goes down and the fiber rests. See?
Goodness me.
And so we are ready for the next.
Would it be all right if I could make some paper?
Yes,
Do you want to show? You'll have to take over my job. And shall we swap places?
Yes.
This is very exciting. Okay, yeah, I better do that, wouldn't I? Oh, my goodness me. A horrible feeling. This takes me back to the art room at school where I was always a dunderhead. Right, so just...
The other side, the other side.
Oh!
Oops.
This way?
No. Like this.
Oh, I see, like so you mean.
Yeah.
But first of all, I've already...
I'll show you, sorry.
Yeah, but there's some on already. Should we get rid of that?
Doesn't
that's all right.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, ready to scoop?
Down, turning, come up.
And
Also this side a little
and
bit.
this, yeah, that way too. Oh,
Okay.
it's got a few white bits in, but it's not bad.
Not bad.
I think
Attention.
Stop it. Some paper for you, Renee. Amazing. And is it ready to take the decal? There it is. This is probably, it's always the second that goes bad. And this is a magical process. It's rather like panning for gold, isn't it? And perhaps that's not a bad analogy. Paper was like gold in medieval times. It was unbelievably valuable. And although it's quite a time-consuming process, it's a lot less time-consuming than making vellum from calfskin. I must say, I rather enjoyed this. I feel connected to Gutenberg somehow just by doing this.
That's good.
How do you know when it's ready? Because the ripples stop.
Yes, now it's okay.
Oh, it's not so good. Hang on.
Okay.
It's not quite so good, that one.
Oops.
No, oh well.
Put it back.
Yeah, put it back. Should we put it back? And just
Turn it. No.
turning it.
Yes.
Like so.
Nope.
Oh, I thought maybe it would go. Oh no, it does it wrong. Here we go. Oh, like so.
Yes.
Oh dear, I've ruined the
Only
place. Oh, I see. Better.
You take this one.
Screwed up.
To make paper fit for printing is a fine art. The raw materials need to be mixed to perfection to produce the right texture and absorbency. For Gutenberg, this was the final crucial ingredient which made printing the Bible a viable business proposition.
Can I take it? So beautiful. My very own piece of paper. And first, of course, it has to be dried, doesn't
Yes.
it? But I do hope Alan will be satisfied with that. How could he not be? That's worthy of the finest printer's art. Okay. The great day's arrived. It's been 5 months since Alan first got together his plans and designed his printing press. It's now built. paper's been made in Basel, I've cast the type personally. Nothing can stop us from printing a page of Gutenberg text. This must be how the great man felt himself.
Before we start printing, I have a little confession to make. It took Stan and me the best part of a day to make just one individual letter E. To produce all the type needed to print a full Bible probably took Gutenberg's team around a year. And frankly, I don't have his time or his patience, so I've cheated. This package has come from the States. It's a replica page of type set to the exact measurements of the Gutenberg original, and thankfully nothing's been damaged in transit.
So this is perfect, isn't it? We can print from this?
Absolutely.
Well, almost. Surely there's room for my little E somewhere on the page.
Here we go.
Oh, it's going to go in. That's so exciting. Let's try that. Now, what word is that? Can you read that?
Leges. L-E-G-E-S.
Yes! That's great. You know, I have to confess I had my doubts about whether or not Alan would be able to bring off the construction of a printing press in the time we'd given him, and whether, in fact, there was enough known about printing then to be able to produce something that could actually work and come up with a reasonable facsimile of something that Gutenberg could have done. I have to say all my doubts have been cast aside by the brilliance of the work he's done, and all three of the experts are through there giggling like children at the excitement of what they've all created together. I'm going to see now some real printing can happen.